And we're back with Survivor Hot Takes after season 44, episode 8,
I
I
believe
believe.
so. Can you believe?
We're already on the other half of the season.
I know.
And I would say a pretty good episode, especially compared to the most recent episode before that.
I know.
But as
We were just
always,
like little dark rain clouds after that episode. We were like, this is the worst. Like, I went emo.
but as always, it's me, Coach Drew, joined by Emily.
Yes.
Emily.
And we have a special guest. If you can see, there's 3 of us here today, if you can count. You are going to see up as well, Cass. Cass, we have the most beautiful love story. Should you tell it or should I?
I'll let you tell it.
Okay. It was, picture this. It was the Bryson Wen Present event, which all rhymes. And we just finished the most incredible episode. So that was like episode 6, I believe. And I had to pee. And was it 6 or was it 5? I think it was 6.
That was 7.
No, I think it was 7. It was the one right before.
7. So it wasn't the most incredible episode.
It's a great news. I can't count.
It felt incredible because Heidi was there. So it felt incredible.
Time just flew. So I had to go pee at the end. And I, as women do, we find ourselves in the bathroom and we make best friends. And Cass and I just like became BFFs. And we like super fans find super fans everywhere they go. And I brought up the podcast. She wanted to join. Cass, welcome. I'm so excited.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Absolutely. So as you know, as I've prepared you, one of the initiation pieces whenever we bring someone onto our show is we always like to ask everyone, like, what is your hot take or an unpopular opinion that you may have about something in Survivor history? So tell me, like, what, I'm ready.
So my unpopular opinion, I get so much hate for this and I've never understood why, but my opinion is that the best Survivor season ever in history, I'm so ready for you guys to yell at me, is Boston Rob season 22 Redemption Island.
You have no idea how amazing that is, because I don't know if I've told you this before, but me and Andrew fight about this all the time because that's one of my favorite seasons.
No way! See, I love that. Most people yell at me.
So. No, I love it. Why do you love it? Tell me everything.
Well, one, Boston Rob is my favorite Survivor player ever.
Love
over
that.
Everyone. I love him. Adore him. But, which I told you in the bathroom too.
Yes, I know.
Drunk rambling about Boston Rob. But
yes.
I think it's kind of a couple reasons. One, the blind sides that he pulled on Matt twice in a row to put him back on Redemption Island, I just think is iconic, and I think it's so funny.
It is. My heart still breaks for the guy though, because like that's like the first time they ever brought Redemption Island, and they did it without thinking that like the same person would be there the whole freaking time. That poor guy, I'm shocked.
I know. I felt so bad. I mean, at the same time, you can only feel so bad when he came back into the game finally and decided to trust Rob again. So I think to yourself. But also, I just think, like, I know people say that Boston Rob really didn't do much that season, almost like he just kind of rode it to the end. But I actually think that he played such an incredible social game.
Yeah.
I think his like manipulation tactics are, he can read people without even really knowing them. And I think it's so impressive.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I love that, because I tell Andrew the same thing. Like, Andrew, on the other hand, isn't as big of a fan. But like for me,
it's not my worst. It's not my least favorite season.
What's your least favorite again?
Thailand.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that's not real. That's not a hot take.
Yeah, but like, go ahead. Sorry, I get excited.
I don't hate Redemption Island. There are only 2 seasons that I hate. Oh, 3: Thailand, Worlds Apart, and Island of the Idols. Redemption Island's just a bad season. I don't hate it. It's very boring. That and South Pacific back. I don't care. Redemption Island and South Pacific back to back are just, and yes, Rob did play a masterful game in that game. I will never take that away. You know, blah blah blah. And it's just me. I would say that the difference between him and the person I think actually dominated their season in a season full of newbies, Kim, is Rob was playing for, you know, the 4th or 5th time with a whole bunch of noobs, as compared to Kim, who's playing against a whole bunch of noobs who had never watched the show, but was still playing on her first time. But I do put value in his win anyway because he still was able to run the table without really any type of chance of going home.
Right.
Redemption Island is still during 42 and 42 was the first season that I fell asleep on and I had to start over again.
Goodbye. You're canceled.
I was like, I was dreading getting to that point during 42 and 42. But I don't hate it, and that is a great hot take. And I don't hate the opinion.
I just think when he had sorry.
Oh no, go ahead. What were you saying?
I just felt like when he had Natalie and I think what was the other girl? Ashley, I think was her name.
Ashley.
Yeah.
Literally guarding his crispy rice was like I think it's such a funny season. I think it's so funny.
It is funny. I'll give you that. It is a very
like
funny
like a cozy season. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like whenever like people love like watching the same Christmas movies over and over again because like you know the ending and like you know it's just like it's like he's like a safe character to me. Like I trust him to make it really far for the most part, and like I love watching him get a little happy ending moment. You know what I mean?
I was excited that he finally won because I think even dating back to his very first season, I think he always had the potential to win. I just think he you know, he is kind of seen as like one of the villains from Survivor. And I think that would kind of, there's been times where I thought he deserved to win. Amber's season, no hate to Amber, love her, but I thought he should have won, but people were too mad at him. He offended too many people to vote for him, but I thought he played the better game. So I thought he had been kind of robbed before. So
right.
Which I mean, he got that money too, but like
they eventually shared it. Yeah. I got you. Yeah. That's like another season that we always debate as All Stars. Like that's actually what brought me and Andrew together is the fact that we disagree so strongly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't like All Stars. I don't like
you. Goodbye.
I don't like All Stars, and every time I watch it, somehow it just gets worse.
You get worse. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm just going back. I'm just mad at you. I'm mad at you today.
But that has nothing to do with Survivor 44, which we start off this episode. And, you know, I watched it, you know, let's put this out there. I watched this episode today because I had a very long week and weekend. So I was just able to watch it today. So I knew who was going home, but I didn't know anything else that happened. And when it starts and Carson is crawling into the woods, I'm like, oh God, here comes another advantage. Mm-hmm. That's what I thought exactly.
I thought too.
It was like this. We're just going to pick up where we left off last episode, and they start throwing up. And I'm like, thank goodness. I mean, thank goodness it's just him throwing up, which is basically the only plot development Carson gets in this episode is that he's sick.
Did you think he was gonna get medevaced? Because that was like I feel like this is like a big medevac season. So I was like it, and everything comes in threes, you know. So I thought that he might have been toast last episode.
I didn't think he was gonna be medevaced just because, like to me, it looked more like potentially like a food poisoning situation. Like it didn't look like anything that was gonna be like lasting.
Yeah.
So I didn't think he'd be. I mean, they've let people stay with. I mean, truthfully, they've let them make the decision for themselves, but like, truthfully, and honestly, his name is slipping my mind right now, but from this season,
Matt.
Thank you. Matt. I could not remember his name. Yeah. Matt, like I thought he'd be medevaced pretty much right away.
Yeah, me too. He was my winner pick. I'm still emo about it. I'm not well. But yeah, like that's kind of what I thought too. Like. He got death by PB&J, like, but to me, I was like, I just had no idea if that would have been like the third person. They keep like teasing that it's a rough medevac season. Anyway, sorry, Andrew, I interrupted.
Oh, no. But like from there, like from that one moment, I think the episode was it was borderline wholesome.
Yeah,
like there was nothing in it that's like totally just like, I don't like this. It was just a fun little episode. I think even moments like, and I mentioned to y'all this before we went live, the challenge, like I said, Carolyn's screams during that challenge are going to haunt me for a long time, but you felt for her. You wanted them to pull it out, and then she does pull it out, and they still finish last and don't move on to the next portion of the challenge.
Right.
But you know, you're sitting there struggling with her, and I almost wanted to turn my TV down because I was just getting I was empathizing with her so much with all of it.
And like the beautiful contradiction and the contrast, I guess, rather, between like her screaming and fighting for her life and Carson like, good job, kid.
So one point where she stops and she goes, what?
It's peak comedy. And then like she finally made it out of the like little rope thing, and Carson's like, he's like, okay, I guess I gotta get in it. That poor man, his tummy was turning. You could just see it, you know?
Yeah.
Then he gets itchy. We get the fart moment. It's like, wow, this is all like, this is just fun. I'm enjoying this. This is a nice transition from last week's episode.
Danny
and
killed
then,
me with that.
Yeah, it was. That is something that I have done to my so at practice sometimes, on a tangent real quick. Every now and then I'll call a student over and say, hey, come here, wait, let's talk for a second. Then I'll fart and I'll just walk away.
Do we need to know this?
It's fun. So like I was him in that moment. I was him in that moment. And the fact that Jeff laughed about it, you know, makes even Jeff comes off as wholesome in this. And people don't like Jeff anymore.
I like him.
I like Jeff.
Yeah, what do you mean? He's my man crush every day.
Same. Dude, he doesn't age.
Yeah.
But what I'll tell you is while watching this, knowing who goes home, I felt like we didn't get any Brandon screen time, especially from the challenge on. Like we really don't hear his opinion about anything that happens from after the challenge until tribal. And like when the idol gets played and it cuts to him, it's even like, wow, it's been a while since I've just seen Brandon's face just in general. So what were you guys' thoughts on how his boot episode went for him as far as the on-screen character?
So like I kind of thought the opposite at the start, because like first of all, the first thing I was thinking was like flashback to last week whenever we had John Buckley on the show, a legend. Hey John Buckley, love you. But like he was telling me like I'm confident that it's gonna be Brandon. And whenever they basically opened with Brandon after Franny's emo phase, like I was like, that to me, I was like, that to me is giving me the vibe that he's toast. And I understand. I wish that we saw a little more about his thought process at the end, but like in reality, I think it's just, he already said that Franny was going to be the next target. There was no more like context. I feel like that they really needed, if that makes sense, as to why he was voting that way. I don't know if he knew that he was a target though. I don't know. What do you think, Cass?
I agree with Andrew. I think that he didn't get a lot of screen time. I know, and I just saw the comment too where he was throwing out Franny's name, and they showed that, but then I felt like they showed that one plan that he had, and then nothing else. Right. We didn't hear anything else from him. Granted, I know he didn't know he was a target, but even him trying to, usually they'll show, even in a blindside, they'll show the person that's going to be blindsided still trying to plan their move. And they did not do that with Brandon. I felt like I didn't really see anything of him. I still feel like even after he was voted out, I felt like I didn't really get like, I didn't get like closure from Brandon. Like,
I feel the same way. I think it was just like because he kind of presented as one of the leaders of of the group, that like people knew that he had to be outie, you know? And like, now that the new pattern is like, I didn't even realize this. It's been like man. It started as like woman, you know, but now it's transitioning into 3 men in a row, which is making me a little worried for Kane next episode. You know,
why are you worried about Kane?
Yeah,
Kane,
I forget Kane's there to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if I were him, I would be worried, I guess is what I'm getting at. You know what I mean? Like, if he goes like deuces, you know, but like, I feel like if I were him, I would be worried, recognizing that one of his biggest allies is gone, and now they're in the minority, you know?
Every time Kane shows up, it's like, oh yeah. Kane,
I forgot he was there.
You sit down and someone's like, I like your, I think it was Carolyn said, I like your hair or whatever. I'm like, oh wow, Kane has hair.
you were there.
That's like a quality of Kane.
Did you see the edit error whenever they put Matt's name over Kane instead? They didn't see like they you know, whenever he was doing one of his confessionals, they put Matt like software developer instead of Kane's name while Kane was
wow.
Yeah.
even the editing team doesn't know who this dude is.
I was confused because I was like, wait, have I been wrong this whole time? I was like,
No.
wait.
Are there
I
three
didn't
Matts?
notice it the first time, and the second time I said, I cannot believe my eyes. Like,
Wait, they did it twice?
no, it was like I watched the episode.
Oh, when you watched it twice. You watched it twice.
Yeah.
Same thing. I mean, I know this is not even the same ballpark, but when I played Survivor New York, my first confessional that I'm on screen and I'm holding, because our tribe had won the idol. I'm holding it and it has my tribe member that I want gone. Next time we go to tribal, and it's like, and it's me, Andrew, Black Andrew, and then Jeremy, White Jeremy's name under it. And I'm not paying attention because I'm paying attention when I'm watching. I'm watching
what
what
you're
I'm
saying.
and everyone is texting me or in the chat saying, "Wow, I can't believe they flubbed on that." I'm like, "Flubbed on what?" And I go back and rewind it, and it's like, "Oh, okay." So I didn't notice it this time either. Like I absolutely didn't notice that they had flubbed that hard, and especially with CBS's money. How many people are going like watching this? Come on,
Right.
Yeah.
I need you to
Yeah,
send me a
that shocked
screenshot of
me.
that, please.
And like also like on like the same like kind of like the not, I guess kind of not the same topic, but like similarly, like I'm like rooting for these Tika 3 because how do you guys think that they're doing, just juggling both of these, like playing the middleman, you know, in both of these different tribes. Like I'm so proud of them. They're freaking killing it.
I loved in this last episode where they were talking about how to keep the Tika 3.
Yeah.
And they were talking about kind of flip-flopping between the two other tribes that are like rivaling at this point.
Yeah.
Like, and I loved their idea where they were like, well, let's like create those good relationships on both sides and then we can just flip-flop.
Yeah.
So I love it.
Yeah.
I do feel like I just saw the comment, worried for Danny this week. Same.
I don't know if I'm like more worried for Danny or for Kane. Like I keep going back and forth because I guess it just kind of it all depends on where Tika wants to sway. Like how cool! I like our three little like the Three Stooges that are
It
now
is
in
cool.
control of the game. So proud
I
of them.
do feel though that like so the comment right under this, Carson is a hell of a mastermind. I agree. Carson, I think, is like dominating this. And what I'm worried about though is that I think I'm worried that somebody's going to catch on.
Yeah.
To Carson.
Here's my issue with Carson right now. And I said this before we even started. I like do like a full analysis of every player before the game starts, and I read all their entrance interviews, all that good stuff. And Carson's responses, like a lot of them were like that asked some questions and then responded like maybe 1 to 3 sentences. Carson's were like narratives. And the first thing I said was like, he's going to say too much and it's going to get him in trouble. Like he's now like been a loose lips twice in 2 different situations where he's outed alliances.
Yeah.
This time, like he outed Heidi and potentially really put a splinter in Danny and Heidi's relationship. I don't think that's going to go as smoothly this time for him, you know?
No, I agree. I do agree.
Like,
I kind of almost forgot about him doing that. I'm a fan of Heidi. I'm also a really big fan of Danny. So I remember when he did that, now that I remember that, I was like, why? Especially because I really thought the person that was going to mess everything up this week was going to be Jam Jam.
Yeah, me too.
Carson, for some reason, didn't strike me as, I know he's done it before, but I just wasn't even thinking that he was going to be the loose lips. I thought Jam Jam was going to be like, because I've seen him do it before where he's decided, let's go with the last minute.
I think that because Jam Jam's names come up so many times, he's like really trying to push back to make sure poor Jam Jam has not been like, he's been like on the chopping block for the last like 3-4 tribals he's been to. So I think that he's recognizing he really needs to pull back to kind of just stick under the water. But they should have just known the information that Danny had the idol and then not let it get back to Danny, because like the more you freaking share, like the less power you have with the knowledge.
Right. Did you guys think going into the tribal, like, did you think that Danny was gonna keep his word and play the idol for Franny?
I thought he was going to play it on himself. What did you guys
Same.
think? Yeah.
Same.
Well,
What do you think, Andrew?
knowing I only knew that Brandon was going home. I didn't know how he was going home.
Yeah.
So knowing that, I still didn't think that the idol was going to get played. I thought that people were just going to, because now that the idol's been leaked, everyone either decides, hey, let's just all vote Brandon because we don't want someone to get have a big move on their resume of playing an idol correctly or whatever.
Yeah.
But then we got up, but I knew Brandon was going home either way, but it was just more of a, does it happen because of a vote or does it happen because this guy actually sticks to his word? And I think that, as a person that's been pulling for Franny from the beginning as my winner pick and top 10 Survivor crush already.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
I was happy that happened, but it makes me scared for her because that's now 2 weeks in a row where, whether it's Matt, it's being outed that Matt and Franny, even though everyone knows, Matt and Franny have this close bond and that Matt's going to this jury and, if there's a very big potential of him voting for her at the end, now you get somebody else playing an idol for her. It's like, okay, she's got a lot of people willing to go to bat for her or outwardly saying they like her. And anytime someone speaks out against her, potentially they're either on the chopping block or they just outright go.
Yeah.
I think that puts her in a shit situation moving forward, but I still think she's got a few more weeks under her belt.
Yeah, I think that like a few people, like I listened to a few podcasts just from other Survivor networks, and like they're all actually kind of saying the opposite. Like I think I understand what you're saying too. I think I'm kind of in the middle with this, but they were like, well, now that she's lost that bond, like nothing is going to be stopping her now. And like, she's going to be just this like force, like circa like Tyson blood versus water. You know what I mean? Where he lost Rachel at the very start and he just came in like guns a-blazing,
So yeah, I feel like I wouldn't personally want to like be the person sitting next to her at the end because of the relationship she has that are going to be on jury. So I feel like it definitely does put her, especially Matt. I mean, we've known for years, dating back to, Boston Rob and Amber, you don't get in a couple on the show and let everybody know it.
And Homeboy's not being subtle in the jury. The way he's looking at her, like everyone can recognize that. Like
when Danny played his idol for Franny, Matt was like he literally did like a fist up in the air kind of thing. And I was like, what are you doing?
Scarlet A,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I do think she has a few more weeks under her belt, though. I don't think she's leaving in the next week.
I don't think so either. I think I'm going to give her like final 7, maybe. Like, I would say final 7.
She's not making it to the finale. I mean, I hope she makes it to the finale, but she's not making it to the finale.
That's very true.
Yeah. I said the same thing about Ricard, and that happened. Oh, like he made it to the finale. I think I said the same thing about Omer. Omer didn't make it to the finale. And then last season, I don't know who I said, but Gabler won. You guys remember that? Little Gabler won. Good time.
On the same subject, like what, like when we're kind of thinking about the finale and based on what the edit is showing and the position that everyone's in, if you had to put your money on one person that for sure is gonna make it into like that final 3 spot, who do you think that would be? Not even win, but just like be sure to secure themselves in the final 3.
I think we talked about this when I met you because I've been so on the fence with this person the whole season, but Carolyn, I think she's incredibly underestimated. I've said this the whole season. She's not necessarily my pick as like the favorite player of the season or anything, but I think is very underestimated. So I think people don't even really look at her as like a target because they're like, oh, I could win next to her because they don't realize all the stuff Carolyn has actually done in the game.
Right. And like she has an idol. She's the only one who's been able to keep any secret about any advantage or idol this entire season. Probably also even last season, because I don't think that anyone was able to keep a secret last season either. Am I right? Besides
not that I remember.
Jesse could
And
keep
I
one,
think
right? He kept
Marianne was the last person to do that. So
Yeah, right.
and we saw how that paid out for her. Paid out. I mean, I think she was always going to win, but
Yeah.
Yeah, for real, for real.
Um,
So, like, I don't know, like, I'm to Jay, like, to kind of answer your question. I feel like honestly, like, Carolyn's kind of getting the Gabler edit, but like in a very different, like, suave sort of way, you know, in her own right.
yeah. And I feel like, and the crazy thing is, I do feel like there is a part of the internet community that doesn't like Carolyn, which is weird. Like weird.
Well, they're dead
But
to
I
us.
do feel like so with the exception of Marianne, every 40 Survivor 40 plus winner has had a backlash on them. You know, oh, Erica, what did she even do? And Xander was robbed, which fuck off.
I loved Xander. Sorry. Okay.
I loved him too, but like, you know, I don't know. I think that like Erica did a lot more than one.
No, I do agree.
You know what I mean?
43, we get Gabler winning, and everyone's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. You guys know what they were saying. I'm never watching the show again and all that. Whatever. I feel like Carolyn could be that person this season, but the only difference is I feel like there by the end of it, Carolyn is the best character of the. If let's say Carolyn wins, she's the best character of it. So even if they don't like whatever they don't like about her, which is just like I said, this is weird. I feel like people will at least say, "Oh, well, at least she was entertaining,"
Right.
which she has been. I mean,
Yes.
I would say that Carolyn is, as far as characters returning from this season, it would be her. Now, as players, you know, we could make a case for other folks, including Carolyn, because she has been able to clock certain things at different points, and her confessionals
Mhm.
are like she does know what's going on.
Yeah.
And I do feel like if she sat at the end, she could be able to make a case based off of what we've seen, but maybe they haven't seen.
Right.
But I wouldn't be shocked if she made it to the finale. It'd be crazy if people thought that she was still a GOAT at this point, because you know 3 episodes ago where people are they're at the it was ironically Brandon was one of them basically saying Carolyn was a GOAT and like no one's really paying attention to her. It's like, well, if she gets there,
Right.
she has a case. But it'd be wild if people still thought that of her later in the season.
Yeah.
And she's been so socially aware. Like there's been 2 or 3 different times where she was right and no one else chose to even acknowledge what she was saying, you know? Like
When she was telling every single person about the fake idol and nobody would listen to her.
and they were just like, yeah, okay. Like they didn't even I don't even think that they like said yeah. Like I think they just completely chose to act like it wasn't even said, which is like whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that she has a great case. It's just going to be a matter if she's able to present that case in final tribal.
I don't necessarily think she'll win. I just think I think she'll make, like, it would not shock me at all to see her in the finale.
I agree.
But I also don't think enough people on the jury, I'm not sure they'd vote for her.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
Question.
Is Heidi being set up to choose who makes fire at 4? Ooh, that's a good question.
I
So-
forgot about the
Jay, I can give you a little bit of additional context. I don't know. I think that's a very, very insightful question. Whenever I met Heidi in Pittsburgh for the Bryce One Present, super fun, as everyone knows. I love it. And when we talked to Heidi a little bit about like, you know, just like her experience on Survivor, and she like didn't say anything obviously, but she like basically was like, you know, like it's all happening for a reason. So like I've been like the way I'm edited is for a reason. That's all she said, you know? So I wonder if that's something that she was referring to or alluding to, you know? I could see her absolutely making it. If she made it to the final 3, that would be amazing. I would love that.
I would say the same thing. I feel like she could be getting like an Erica type edit. Because we always get moments where we get moments with Heidi that like other people don't get. And with Erica in 41, it was like pre-merge, we're getting all the storyline that doesn't ultimately pay off, where everyone's like, hey, let's throw this challenge so that we can get rid of Erica because Erica's a threat. And like as you're watching it in real time, it's like, well, that's a weird point for us to be at, and it ultimately, like I said, ultimately doesn't even matter. But I think editing wise, it does matter because it shows that from the very beginning, people deemed her as a threat. And as the season progresses, she's able to like chill. We'll still get Erica moments here and there, but it's the story's more about everyone else. And it's like, oh yeah, you guys kind of just forgot about her, who they were willing to throw a challenge for early in the season. And so when she's sitting there, it's like, yeah, I mean, I still thought it was either going to be her or Deshawn. I wasn't like, oh yeah, Erica's definitely winning.
Yeah.
But when she won in the blowout fashion that she did, it's like, okay, yeah, I get it. And
Yeah.
I feel like watching it in real time now with Heidi, if Heidi ultimately wins the season, I feel like there will be these moments that we can go back to and say, yeah, I mean, they still didn't do her
Didn't do her justice.
justice with the edit, but like we can sit there and say, oh, okay, yeah, okay, I can
You
see
know-
that. I understand that.
You know who else isn't getting justice? My girl Lauren.
Lauren's not getting any.
Oh, don't even get me started. Like I need to see more of my strong boss women in this season. It's killing me. I like they're both such dynamic and strong characters, and we need more. We need more. We could have seen less of the Matt and Franny montage. We could have
Yes.
seen more of Lauren
I don't-
and Heidi girl bossing. Like,
Yeah.
ugh.
As someone who's really jealous.
Yeah. I really underestimated Lauren. I think because of the edit she's got. I have
Yeah.
one of my best friends. I don't know if you met him at the watch party, but he's the one that was with me at the watch party. He has talked to Lauren quite a few times, and we're going to the finale watch party to go meet her because she's gonna be there.
Really?
But yeah, but she he has told me over and over again how much he loves her and all this stuff, and I just was sitting there and I would watch the show and be like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like she was another one, kind of like Kane, where I would forget
Yeah.
he was there. And then once I started kind of paying more attention because Zach, my friend, kept mentioning her, I started paying as much attention as I could. And there were little things that I would notice between like Lauren and Heidi, like when Heidi won that advantage and had to say a name and she said Jam Jam.
Mm-hmm.
And then she explained, she was like, well, I knew Lauren had 2 votes. And I was like, oh, they're working together way more than they're showing in the show.
Absolutely.
And you're right, they're girl bossing without anyone knowing they're doing it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I just wish that we were getting a little bit more of their thought process. I just don't think we're getting hardly anything. Like it's very upsetting, you know?
Especially if
it's
one of
gonna be
them
similar to that alliance that we found out about in the finale of last season, where it's
Mhm.
like, wait a minute, what? When did that?
What would they
become a
call it
thing?
again? Like the bro.
I forgot because we didn't learn about it until the finale.
I forgot what it was like an all men alliance naturally. Ugh, don't even get me started. But I don't know. I would like to see more, but I'm hoping that like maybe we're gonna see more of like Lauren and Heidi like in the same like Lindsay fashion where it kind of creeps up and then kind of comes in all at once. I just wish that it started earlier, you know?
I'm hoping. I'm really worried that they're gonna be 2 that make it really, really far, potentially to the end, and we're gonna be looking, kind of like,
Yeah,
how
like
did
a deer in
how did this
headlights.
happen? How did they get here?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and we've touched on this before too, like the potential 90-minute episodes, like starting in 45. We talked about this last week, Andrew, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that that's going to kind of serve as like a caveat, like
Mhm.
to help facilitate more understanding for a lot of the viewers. I just feel like I would love to get more of that, you know?
Yeah, I wish it was like, I know like in like Big Brother, they do the little talks with the players sort of like in between episodes and stuff like that. And I wish Survivor had something like that where we could see. I understand why they can't. You're not in a house with a little like camera room,
Right.
but it would be nice if we could get more of their like what's going on internally.
Yeah,
with
I
each of the
agree.
players.
We need more bonus footage. Like someone
Yes.
throw it on Paramount Plus. I'll subscribe. you
Right.
know? Perfect. Okay, cool. So what do you say, Andrew? Did you
They
say
have their
something?
secret scenes, but that's about it.
Oh yeah.
They have their secret.
So like where we're at right now, we're worried about Danny. I think that Kane might be a little nervy, you know? So I think it's kind of like 50-50. What do you guys think? Anyone else in a bad spot right now? Heidi maybe?
Heidi, I feel like I thought she was going to be in a way, way, way worse spot after having to name a person.
Yeah.
But I felt like her and Jam Jam in this last episode, seeing that Jam Jam went with that whole plan instead of going and telling Brandon or, it seems like she kind of smoothed all that out. And I don't know I don't know that I feel she's in like necessarily a scary place right now.
I agree. Yeah, I'm like a little nervous for her conversation with Danny after Tribal,
Right.
or maybe it already happened and it's all smooth over and fine. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So yeah, cool.
Danny seems to be somebody that's like understanding, but he won't tell you if he's not actually understanding. Like he'll go along with it and like smooth things over, whatever. But I think he'll like keep it in the back of his mind, like, okay, well,
Right.
this happened, and I don't want to forget about that.
I'll get
Right.
you one day, not
Yeah,
today.
exactly.
My cat keeps biting my feet.
But overall, I would say that it was a great change of pace from episode 7.
It was good. Yeah.
And I hope that the final few episodes of the season keep up for where this is.
Yeah.
And hopefully a lot of what we were saying, even if we're wrong, that's even better because we're going to be shocked by whatever happens. But I am still enjoying the season, even after episode 7, and I just hope that it just continues. Now that rugby season is over, I have nothing but time. I'll be able to watch live and all that jazz.
How exciting.
Hopefully, I'll be able to go to maybe 2 parties. There's one in Boston coming up, one in Philly coming up that I kind of want to go to, and maybe the one in New York City for the finale.
You should
see.
go to
This
that
could
one.
actually be. How
You
cool
should
would that
go.
be?
Yeah, so I'm contemplating. We'll see what happens. But Cass, thank you so much for joining us. It's
Thank you
been
so
great.
much
Like
for
I
having
really
me.
enjoyed having you here.
You're killing it. Isn't she great?
Thank
I told
you.
you.
Thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you all on the other side.